It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, Brian Cole Jr. is the suspect now who has been arrested for the January 6th pipe bombs that were laid out in front of the RNC and the DNC headquarters. And I still don't know specifically. What we do know is from Bondi is that no new information was given to them. All this information the government had. And I've gone through it, as many probably, have, looking at his checking accounts and credit card accounts from January of 18 to January of 21, and then looking at, for example, his cell records and all that. I haven't seen anyone, though, say specifically, did the Biden administration have him as a suspect? Did they have all this information, but they hadn't disseminated it to get a suspect?
Yeah, good question.
Or did they have, because if they're saying the FBI used cell records to approximate Cole's location, well, was that the FBI under Biden, or is that the FBI under Trump? Just trying to understand. I'm not making this political, by the way. It's just, when did they know it was him and suspect it was him?
It would make sense that the FBI under Biden, if again, it is true what Pam Bondi said, and I have no reason to believe it's not, that there's no new information here. That means the FBI collected that data on his cell phone, and it wasn't just a part of this wide,
Well, unless that they looked, at the cell towers at the DNC and RNC, and any cell they looked at, and
then developed a pattern there.
and then developed a pattern and went from that point on over the last 9 months, maybe using new AI investigative things that would look at not just that, but compare the cell tower thing to I don't know what they have now when it comes to AI, when it comes to anything that was purchased that he bought that coincided with the cell tower that pinged near those particular places on that day.
Right.
And so that's what the investigation was.
Yeah. And
so that's what I'm, still don't know. I will say this, though. At least we know there have been some advances with liberals out there. At least Jake Tapper is colorblind.
Well, apparently. Jake Tapper identifying the suspect as a white man. and the fact is he's not a white man.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
That was Jake Tapper that did with remember the riots going on?
Oh, yeah, Ferguson.
The Ferguson,
Yeah, he was standing in Ferguson, and he was, the police are here, and they're armed.
And look, they have riot suits on, and they're armed. There's a riot going on.
Yeah.
They're riot police.
Now, with a little more time to analyze all that and Tapper's behavior and other liberal media behaviors over the years, I tend to believe that in that moment he was just learning that police had guns. And not just overstating the obvious. What?
I never forget you and I watching that.
What?
And playing it on the air. Must have played that on the air
armed.
20 times that night.
Yeah. Really? You're telling me the mall cop isn't there? Wow.
Have you left your basement?
Yeah.
in the last 30 years?
Yeah, I have to ask. Military-like gear. It's also called riot gear.
Yeah, exactly. Remember how they were so upset that they brought in the armored personnel carriers?
Yeah, the armored vehicles, which in some cases, they were using those to go into crowds and actually help people who had been hurt during the riots.
Right. And you keep it where there isn't a confrontation going on.
Right.
Because they can't get, there's not fighting going on between the police and the rioters.
Mm-hmm.
And you go in and you get people and you do whatever. But, I mean, I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Oh, remember that? Remember that huge controversy? No weapons of war for police.
Why? Well, and now,
and it was like, what's a weapon of weapon of war?
The liberals who, for at least 3 of the last 5 years screamed, "Put a mask on," are saying that ICE needs to take the mask off.
Like, when they say weapons of war, it's like, wow, police are throwing grenades now?
Yeah.
Do they have mortars? Well, that's how to disperse a riot. Bring in the mortars.
Yeah. I mean, I really have to believe that many in the leftist media were just learning how it all worked in those moments. What? What is that shiny thing on their chest? That's a badge. Wow.
Well, that's unfair.
Yeah.
We need to have fairness between the rioters. That badge could deflect a bullet.
It honestly was about, we need some kind of equity here.
Remember that?
The rioters don't have this kind of gear.
Remember they talked about that?
Yes.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. A community riot gear program for rioters. Then was discussed, I'm sure, by some city council members. Maybe we should come up with some federal dollars. And we could equip them with helmets and give them badges that says rioter. I mean, it's just stupid.
Community activist badges.
Community activist, community organizer, level 1. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Where did they get guns? They're the police. Yeah. I mean, it really does.
I mean,
I
the
look
laughter.
At it, it was like, I think they were just learning it.
My laughter comes from that we've been doing this so long. It's like we're dealing with elementary school students, and I'm actually I might be insulting elementary school students.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because they have observation skills.
Yeah.
So we need to get to the point of a child before they have observation skills to compare them to some of the liberals in the media.
Yeah.
Because it's all ignorance and emotion.
Right.
So
exactly.
Oh, man. All right.
By the way, the aforementioned question, because
go ahead.
I was thinking I saw something or heard something from Pam Bondi yesterday about the investigation, and we were asking, all right, wait a minute, were they took the evidence and put it together? I know she said a couple of things. This was a matter of or the result of some really good police work,
right?
But she also said federal investigators were able to identify Cole after spending months sifting through evidence that had been sitting at the FBI with the Biden administration. Now, that implies that they had not identified him before.
Okay.
So if I'm accurate on that, or if the writing here at foxnews.com in this article is accurate in that implication, that would tell me they had not done the work. They had not finished doing the investigation or didn't pursue the investigation at the very least, because Pam Bondi is making it sound like, no, under the Trump administration, we just did the work. Nothing new was added. We just took what they had.
I guess the question would be: so you had everything. It looks like you had the checking account, the 3 credit cards from January 18 to 2021. When did you have that?
Right.
When did you have all that information?
Well, because how much she's saying nothing new was introduced, evidence-wise. Then, I mean, if that is accurate, and that's what she said. I mean, she didn't get specific on that.
Yeah, she didn't say that they had him targeted as a person of interest and never did anything. She did not say that.
No.
Right.
No. So that's what we're wondering here, because there is a great concern as to the question, why was this not pursued in the previous administration? Why would you not pursue this?
Yeah. Or did they pursue it?
And someone shut it down.
Well, do you want to take the focus off of January 6th?
Because after January 6th,
if you're saying that, are you saying that that politicians might do something to keep a particular narrative going without interruption with something else?
Well, if they'll make up a crime or set of events that didn't happen, Russian hoax, and say it happened, then why not take a set of events that did happen and pretend it didn't happen?
Because here it is, for example, I'll just read this here. The FBI has identified 1 bank checking account and 6 credit cards. The accounts used by Cole. The FBI obtained records for the checking account and 3 credit cards for the time period of January of 2018 to January 2021. 3 additional credit cards were obtained for a time period of January 2018 to November of 2025. Okay, now that would be new information that they would have gotten to 2025.
Yeah,
the FBI reviewed, so that would be new evidence that you got from when you took office. So that would be new evidence at that point.
A congressional report revealed that the FBI during the Biden administration began diverting sources away from the investigation at the end of February of 2021 after less than 2 months.
Okay, the FBI reviewed the transaction history for all these accounts. During the 2019-2020, Cole purchased multiple items consistent with the components that were used to manufacture the pipe bombs placed at the RNC and DNC. Cole used the accounts to purchase these items from a physical retail locations in Northern Virginia, as described in more detail below. So my point would be, so they knew that. Who knew that? Who knew specifically that Cole got that? If there no new evidence came forward, then they knew that. Mm-hmm. They had that in their files, which means in order to know that, they would have had been investigating him if what Bondi has said is accurate.
Right.
They would have identified him as a possible suspect, or maybe one of, a person of interest.
Yeah, right.
A person. Maybe he was one of 100 persons of interest. Was he on the radar from the Biden administration, I guess, would be the question. And let's say it was down to 50 people that might have fit this particular profile, but how many people would have purchased between 2019 and 2020 actual things to manufacture a pipe bomb?
Right.
And if you knew that, and even if he was one of 25 suspects, why wouldn't you run that all the way down? Why would you start moving sources away in February of 21? Because that was just right after it happened.
Well, you're talking weeks after it happened.
Right.
Why would you start diverting resources? Why do you do that? That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, take the politics out of it just for a moment. Investigatively speaking, it doesn't, which then you question what is the political motivation behind, or was there a political motivation behind it?
Again, if it's accurate and true, what Pam Bondi said, that they just took the information the FBI already had and did the police work on it, then if that's the case and they had this information and could have done that work, there's no reason to divert resources away from it.
Right.
Weeks after the event.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense at all. And
especially after all the hype of January 6th.
yes.
And then you would look at it and you would say, okay, all right, we're saying it was an insurrection. It was a riot. But the bombs in front of the DNC and RNC
don't fit that narrative.
Does not. That actually fits a narrative of terrorism.
Right.
Why, on something that would be viewed as terrorism, targeting those headquarters of the two major parties, why would you remove sources from that
Right.
in February of 21
Right.
if you had this information?
Well, because
It doesn't make any sense.
Because maybe you want it to look like someone who was involved in the January 6th riots was also responsible for
the bombing. For doing that. Yeah, you're trying to tie the two in
and
together.
by
Right.
diverting resources away, you can just float that political narrative.
That's a great point, yeah.
And you don't have to get down to the facts until Pam Bondi becomes the AG. And now, according to the evidence and the charges, this is what they're saying happened.
This is going to be interesting.
It will be.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Surviving and thriving as an owner-operator has just as much to do with managing costs as it does with generating revenue. Like the chief financial officer of any company, you have to be concerned about rising costs, especially without increases in revenue. Trying to reduce costs, let alone make sense of them, can be a complicated task. Understanding basic principles of operating costs can save you thousands of dollars a year. A penny saved could be $1,000 earned. Saving just 1 penny per mile over 100,000 miles driven annually will deliver $1,000 to the bottom line at the end of the year. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio, and he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right. Well, the Supreme Court to allow Texas to use the new congressional map that they put out. We figured that would be what we'd say. It's really interesting because we can make this one, I think, pretty simple. What they said was, well, of course Texas did it for partisan reasons. You're allowed to do it for partisan reasons.
Yeah.
And if you do it for partisan reasons and it moves because you're doing it for partisan reasons, if that then moves different minority races around, that's fine. And it seems to indicate that what they're saying is, the conservatives seem to indicate that California will be fine whatever they do as long as they do it for just partisan purposes. The problem is if the number one reason for doing it is partisan, not race, God, I mean, you're never going to be able to prove it's race to begin with.
Right,
but of course, because partisan always comes first.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares about race. They care about winning.
Right.
And so basically, they sort of said states can do what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the entire point is some of the analysis is, well, Congress hasn't, the courts, Congress really has, when we talk about districts, Congress really hasn't legislated how you do that. And so if Congress doesn't, basically their point is the court can't do that. The court can't come in and say, it's our job to figure out what's fair.
Right.
Partisan-wise.
Right.
It's not our job.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So the 3 points that the court made, reading Dan McLaughlin here from National Review. First, it's good to settle election rules in advance. It is best to do so by resolving election cases well in advance of elections. But when suits are brought close to an election, the court has long adopted the Purcell principle that federal courts should not unsettle state election laws and processes close to an election. Today, the court extended that principle. This is Texas again in the redistricting. The court extended that principle to situations in which House primaries were not only already underway, but were already beyond remedy. The state filing deadlines for House primaries had passed. If a new map were drawn, candidates, including House incumbents, could not run for districts that might be differently drawn later by the courts. That has consequences not only for the House races, but for the entire state election cycle. For example, Representative Jasmine Crockett is now considering running for the Senate after her House seat was effectively eliminated. Second, this was a very openly a partisan gerrymander, which is not illegal under federal law. You can't sue for unfairness, only for illegality. Justice Samuel Alito, in his concurrence, said what everybody knows. The dissent does not dispute, because it's indisputable, that the impetus for the adoption of the Texas map, like the map that's being adopted in California, were for partisan advantage, pure and simple. The dissent by Kagan, and joined by her liberal progressives, tried to finesse that self-evident truth, framing the question asked by the trial court as follows: in enacting an electoral map slanted towards Republican, did Texas use race to draw the new district lines, or otherwise did Texas accomplish its partisan objectives by means of racial gerrymandering? Emphasis added. But that was always a wrong legal question. The court's constitutional precedents ask whether race was the predominant consideration, not whether the predominant partisanship resulted in the classification of partisans in the way that de facto also classified them by race.
Yeah, okay.
So, third, the court is currently reconsidering its standard for racial gerrymandering, and the justices likely already know how that case will come out. That's what you and I said earlier. Indeed, the previous Texas map was to some extent based on the idea that the Texas legislature was required by the Voting Rights Acts to draw districts like Crockett's based on race.
Yeah.
That's what I said, when people, said, that when I made it known that she was my congressperson by 3.5 blocks, because I realized there was one other half street in there.
Yeah.
And that she had won the last election with 85% of the vote. There wasn't even a Republican candidate. It was a libertarian candidate, and that was it. Nobody really even campaigned for it. But now that is, that's gone.
Well, and the DOJ basically acted on that because, again, as you mentioned, that previously it was redrawn, and it was done primarily under racial motivation, and the DOJ wrote the state a letter.
The Obama administration did.
Yeah.
It was Obama, yeah.
And, well, and so the state basically had to respond to that.
There it is. In fact, the prior map had been challenged as discriminatory by the Obama Justice Department. And Governor Greg Abbott argued that rewriting the map was justified by shifts in the court's jurisprudence that allowed it to be less race conscious, which is really interesting because the minority in the Supreme Court, the liberals, were saying, well, it was done on race, yet that's what they were actually fighting.
That's what they were trying to rectify.
To rectify it and make it less race conscious.
Right. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing, we've got a lot to get to here before the end of this hour. And the other is the Hegseth situation.
Okay.
Where he had come out yesterday and said that the Inspector General, the department came out, his spokesperson, Sean Parnell, saying total exoneration. Here's what they said. They said he did nothing wrong, total exoneration. the Department of War spokesperson said.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's actually in it. Now, remember, this is the unclassified version. We don't get to see the classified version.
Right.
Although the Secretary wrote in his July 25th statement that the DOD OIG, by the way, he referred to the Department of War, the Inspector General all the way through as the DOD, OIG, that there were no, then again, he might have done this before they made the official move.
Oh,
when was that official move
yeah,
done?
could be.
That there were no, although the Secretary wrote in his July 25th statement that there were no details that would endanger our troops or the mission if this information had fallen into the hands of U.S. adversaries, Houthi forces might have been able to counter U.S. forces or repossession personnel and assets to avoid planned U.S. strikes. Even though these events did not ultimately occur, the Secretary's actions created a risk of operational security that could have resulted in failed U.S. mission objectives and potential harm to U.S. pilots. Using a personal cell phone to conduct official business and send non-public DOD information through Signal risks potential compromise of sensitive DOD information. Because the Secretary indicated that he used the Signal application on his personal cell phone to send non-public DOD information, we concluded that the Secretary's action did not comply with DOD instructions, which prohibits the use of a personal device for official business and using non-approved commercially available messaging application to send non-public DOD information. The Secretary's transmission of non-public operational information over Signal to an uncleared journalist and others 2 to 4 hours before planned strikes using his personal cell phone exposed sensitive DOD information. Using a personal cell phone to conduct official business and send non-public DOD information through Signal risks potential compromise of sensitive DOD information, which could cause harm to DOD personnel and mission objectives. This was not at all a total exoneration at all. You know, we had said early on that, sorry, but Hegseth was throwing a bunch of horse manure out there. Anything in a mission, before a mission takes place, any operational things in a mission are viewed to be top secret. And the fact that Hegseth came out and the Department of Defense came out and said, no classified information, because the Secretary, he can declassify information, that even makes it worse. Because what he is saying is, if I decide to declassify troop movements or anything that happens, I'm not saying these were specific troop movements, but you understand the hypothetical I'm giving here, that operational things are going to happen. I'm going to declassify them and then send them over an unsecure network. You're gone. You're fired.
Yeah. Well,
because he's trying to use the thing that I'm going to be absolutely. His defense was, I can be so irresponsible and I can declassify war plans because I'm the head of the Department of War
on a current mission or upcoming mission.
Right.
That none of that makes sense at all.
Doesn't make any kind of sense at all. You're fired.
Yeah.
And I agree with so much of what he has done. You know, the things that he done, how he wishes to reshape, you know, the military. This is pure horse manure that he's trying to throw out. And, you know, it would really make me fire him how the Department of War handled all of this the last 36 hours. And every single person who knows anything about the military knows that Hegseth is throwing out a bunch of horse manure.
None of it makes sense.
None of it makes sense at all. And by the way, we said the same thing with Lloyd Austin when he missed 3 days. Well, he had prostate cancer. There's no excuse.
No excuse.
No excuse. Sorry.
You take the proper measures to make sure that everyone, everyone, and all protocols are followed at every turn.
And the fact
we're talking about the guy who's the head of the military,
right? It disappears for a few days. The president doesn't even know. You're fired. You're gone. You can't have that.
Yep.
And what Hegseth did, what worries me more is Hegseth's response in the last 36 hours, because he's basically throwing out such a load of horse manure that it's like, are you telling me that you're justifying your carelessness here as something that you were completely and totally exonerated, which was not true from the Inspector General? Remember, he didn't say that the Inspector General had no credibility.
No.
He said from the source stories that came out, which was the exact same of what we saw here.
Well, because
was exonerated him, and that's completely false.
Well, because how can you look at such a horrible, massively bad judgment call and then try and excuse it away by saying, well, I had the authority to do this? You're not following protocol, and that's the number one. You're head of the military of an ongoing and or upcoming mission. Why in the world would you ever risk it?
Jim Garrity.
By the way, Jim judgment call thing here, right, is full stop.
It's
the end of it.
You're
for
done.
Me.
Yeah, you're done. Jim Garrity, headline. Secretary Hegseth's curious definition of total exoneration.
Yeah. Well, remember what they said when the media found out. Well, the enemy could have found out, but they didn't. Information could have gotten out, but it didn't. That's not the question.
Yeah.
Why would you risk it?
You know, at times, it seems like the administration is trying to out-Biden what Biden did.
Yeah.
I thought about that yesterday.
And I'd like to call it excuse-making. These aren't even excuses.
No.
Because none of them are viable.
No. And to try to throw that horse manure when every single military person knows what came out of the Department of War yesterday, and Hegseth and Sean Parnell, complete bullcrap. And everybody knows it. That's the thing.
The only thing you could say right now at this point, after the IG report, the only thing you could say right now that you might be able to get away with is the mission was a success. We're proud that the mission was a success. We're always reviewing procedures, protocol, whatever you want to say. Don't try and make an excuse here for what you've done. Move on with it. Because it keeps telling me, it keeps resending the message to me of gross incompetence.
Yeah.
That you don't have the skills, you don't have the ability to make the right judgment call when it counts.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
Here at Radio, he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. One more thing on the on Hegseth. It looks like again the other story on the drug boats.
Yeah,
as we know, there was no kill order that was ever put out by Hegseth.
Right,
never put out.
Mm-hmm.
So that complete story from the Washington Times seems to be completely and totally inaccurate.
Yeah,
you know? And it was the New York Times. Did I say Washington Times?
Yeah, you said Washington Times. You mean New York Times.
Sorry, Washington Times. We know they listen.
We have friends at the Washington Times.
I could hear them screaming,
Yeah.
McNamara, what are you talking about?
Wrong Times.
Washington
Wrong
Post.
Times.
Washington Post.
Washington
Post.
Washington
Okay.
Post.
I'm gonna, but the New York Times is the one that, it's like, oh my gosh, the liberal media is fighting now.
Yeah, right. What did we do?
Washington Times was the first one that came out that said, well, no, that part of the story isn't true, and that part of the story isn't true. It looks like, except for that drug boats were blown up, that the rest was not accurate.
Right. Yeah.
There was no kill order. It was destroy the boats and destroy them completely and destroy the cargo. And if it's not destroyed, destroy it. If the first it doesn't destroy it, destroy it.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Well, and I just, in situations like that, you just assume there's going to be casualties. You assume if the craft is destroyed, all on board are going to perish.
Yeah, on those small boats, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. We'll see where that goes over the weekend. Another boat taken out, in fact. News of that coming across in the last, 8 to 12 hours.
They're actually putting out video now.
Yeah.
I saw that last boat. They put video of it.
Yep.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.